Off we go on Sunday. Week 8 of this NFL regular season rolls on, and for the 5-2 Baltimore Ravens, they're trying to make it 6 in a row today in Cleveland against the 1-6 Browns. Welcome inside the channel. So glad you can be with me. I'm bobtrosset, and as always, this is where I bring you Baltimore sports and beyond. I am live for this pregame live stream from Michael's Cafe in Timonium, Maryland, hosted by my friends and trusted brand sponsor, Primary Residential Mortgage. Come on over if you're in the area. I'm going to be here for the next hour plus. They've got brunch specials. They've got all the games on once 1 o'clock rolls around, and it is a fantastic game day experience here in Baltimore County. And I just wanted to say thank you to Michael's Cafe for hosting me for yet another pregame live stream here outside of Baltimore City. So with that, let's get things started. We've got a lot to discuss. The guest lines will be open all show, as they always are. My trusty producer is off to my left, Tilly Trosset, fresh off our hike yesterday. We went up to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and had a fantastic fall weekend. So I hope wherever you guys are, whatever you're up to today, you're enjoying yourselves, because football is smack dab in the full swing of things, and the Ravens among the best in the entire league right now, trying to get, again, a 6-game winning streak going today with a win in Cleveland, and trying to keep pace, of course, with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are alongside them atop the AFC North. So, 1 o'clock kickoff. It's a CBS broadcast. We're going to talk a little bit about the defense to start. There's been a consistent effort on both this channel and the Vault, and really across everywhere you look, of commending what Todd Monken and Lamar Jackson have done offensively speaking. And we certainly will do that throughout this stream. But I think I would also be remiss if I didn't highlight and acknowledge some of the shortcomings defensively that are certainly one of the reasons why they do have a couple blemishes on this win-loss record, with 2 losses so far, of course, after a fourth quarter collapse to the Las Vegas Raiders. And when you look at this team statistically from a pass defense standpoint, there's not a lot to like right now through 7 weeks. Zach Orr, we have, I think the majority of us, at least those who are looking at it from a level-headed approach, have been willing to grant him time, patience, and grace as a 32-year-old defensive play caller who's doing all of this and learning on the fly as a first-time play caller, right? With no previous experience at that position, unlike Mike McDonald had, albeit at the college level a few years ago while with Michigan. And so I guess the question becomes is, if this offense finds a way to continue its dominance week in and week out, putting up 30-plus points, what feels like and looks like in its sleep, that's great. That's all well and good. But I don't find that to be a sustainable effort to live in, a sustainable reality to live in come the postseason. And I also don't expect them every single week to have these A1 efforts of easily putting up 30-plus points, meaning if the offense were to scuffle on a division game or upcoming against Denver or Thursday night against Cincinnati, will the defense be able to hold serve and win this game and win this football team games? And right now through 7 weeks, there are a lot of question marks as to whether or not that's the case. And I want to take a close look as to why. And I did exactly that on Friday with former Super Bowl winning Raven Femi Ayan-Badejo, who gave me a wide-ranging answer on where this defense is right now, and most importantly, about 10 days out from the trade deadline coming up on November 5th, where they could potentially get better between now and then. Listen to Femi.
Sure, would definitely help. And let me commend Marlon right now. Marlon came into this offseason and said, I'm going to lose 10 to 15 pounds. Lamar did the same thing. And they're both having, Lamar is already a 2-time MVP. Each year Lamar just stacks a better season. Marlon looks like old Marlon. I think being a little lighter, I made that same decision when I was a player. It allowed me to play 11 years. I've started to play lighter. And I think Roquan should pull a page from that and maybe think about, Roquan's a beast. We know that his mental makeup, his leadership is never in question. I do feel like I don't know if it's a analysis or if it's just a speed thing, but I do think that Roquan, and maybe he can't, I don't know if he can do it in season. I think some guys could do it in season. There is a caloric deficit and there are some cardio things that need to be done to kind of take that weight off. And there's some nutritional things that need to be done too, which obviously I'm an expert at. That's another story for another day. But my point is that I think guys playing faster and recognizing that speed and decision making will get you in the right place. And so I'm thinking about all the little things that can be done during the season. And once again, I love Roquan. I'm not trying to throw Roquan under the bus at all, but we all have seen that he's not playing the same level of Mike linebacker that he's been playing over the years. And once again, I don't know if that's a weight thing. I don't know if that's a diagnosis thing, or if it's just him trying to do too much. Whatever it is, it's adding to the issues that we're seeing on the defense overall. I haven't heard Roquan speak to it specifically. He doesn't need to answer to me. I know that inside that locker room, he's probably answering to his teammates and to himself in regard to how he can improve his play. But when it comes to communication, when it comes to all the physical things that you can do, and then a pass rush, right, as well, I'm just thinking of all the little things I can throw in the pot that in aggregate would improve the defense in the short term. And that's one of the things that I see. If you put me in a box and said, like, if you didn't let me look at any of the players, if you just said you get one choice, you get a pass rusher or somebody on the back end, absolutely a pass rusher. Now, who those guys on the back end are and who that pass rusher is would definitely impact my decision. But if you just said you get one choice, I'm taking a defensive end or a pass rush guy.
Former Super Bowl winning Raven Femi Ayambadejo was kind enough to spend some time with me on Friday afternoon stream, and he mentioned a few things there. At the last second there, it was related to, of course, the potential acquisition position that the Ravens could be looking closely at between now and November 5th. I consider and continue to hope that a pass rusher will be that position of choice, but perhaps the secondary could also be an angle that Eric DeCosta's front office could look at. The reality is it hasn't been good enough on the back end. And because of how much money and investment they already have tied into that group, I would think maybe they go towards the defensive front. And I think some rumblings that came out last week maybe indicate what could be coming and what their thinking is. Zadarius Smith, rumored to have at least been looked in by from a Ravens perspective, calling into Cleveland, at least tentatively, maybe preliminary, to see what he might give the Ravens. He would be a team-friendly option, somebody who, at this point in his career, not sure how much you can expect of him or from him, but the reality is he's still got left in the tank. Enough. And there's a familiarity with the organization, of course, being that the Ravens drafted him years ago. And there was also interest within the last couple of years. So the question becomes, what position between now and November 5th, if any, will the Ravens address defensively speaking? And will it be a defensive acquisition? We'll see. The bottom line is, as I just mentioned a second ago, these numbers right here are undeniable. Okay? The rushing defense, wild. Like the wild night and day nature of these rankings through 7 weeks is the fact that the rushing defense is first in the entire league. Okay? But yet, look at where the passing defense is. Dead last, 32nd. It's wild. It's wild. And there are certain players that I think you can pinpoint, while you don't want to call anyone out individually, as in it's their entire fault, or as if to say, this is on you from a 32nd ranked pass defense standpoint. Guys like Marcus Williams are getting paid too much to be performing at the level that they are. Okay, from a deep safety standpoint, Marcus Williams is allowing 12 and a half yards per target. Eddie Jackson, which was the latter half veteran free agent safety that they brought in at the end of the summer, 13.2 yards per target. It's just, it's not good enough. And I know Eddie wasn't paid to necessarily be a needle-moving acquisition for them, but Marcus was a couple of years ago. And he was asked this week, matter of fact, by reporters where his role is and where he feels like his role is. And here were the tweets. Cordell Woodland from 105.7 The Fan asked Marcus if his role has changed this year compared to last. And he was quoted for saying, "I don't really know. I just do my job. Whatever they ask of me, I'm going to do it." Kind of a cryptic way to answer a question about your role. He was also asked about getting back to forcing turnovers because he hasn't had those splash plays this year. He said, "The ball just has to come my way. When it does, I'll make the best of the opportunity. But until then, I'll just keep doing the job that I have to do." And then one final one as well on if the defense plays differently with a late game lead. Quote, "We just got to finish the game out strong. When they get in those passing situations, we got to take the ball away and get off the field on third down." Quotes from Marcus Williams, who caught up with reporters at the end of last week. Cordell Woodland tweeted it. "It hasn't been good enough from number 32. We're nitpicking a little bit because sometimes he's in and around plays that don't go the right way." One that comes to mind was the touchdown from Mike Evans in the first half on Monday night, right? That was on Brandon Stevens. That wasn't on Marcus Williams. So there are some cases where I think as a fan base, sometimes you can immediately jump down guys' throats because they're in the vicinity of plays or breakdowns. That doesn't necessarily mean they are the reasoning for said breakdowns. First guest of the afternoon, it's Tristan here from Michael's Cafe, who's taking care of us.
How's it going, brother?
We used to be neighbors. We just found that out a minute ago.
Small world. Baltimore, baby.
Fells Point.
Yeah.
But we're up here in Baltimore County, of course, and it is a glorious fall day. A little bit of chill in the air, but you'd never know it with the heaters that we've got going on in Michael's. This is the third pregame show that I've done from here. I continue to think that this game day experience is slept on. This is a fun game day experience.
Oh, yeah. We're a sound on bar, so, come in here, have a good time, have a few too many beers, and we'll take care of you.
I tell you what, anybody that doesn't operate on a sound on basis on game day, I don't want to be a part of it.
It's pretty annoying, and then you also find out which bars didn't spend enough on their sound system.
Right. You've got plenty of gear here, and we're just over an hour and a half away from today's kickoff. What's going on at Michael's today?
We have our brunch right now, which everybody loves brunch. Get you some biscuits and gravy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. I had the Hungry Man today. Sausage, over easy eggs, potatoes, and some rye bread.
And
Chef's kiss.
And you were finished in like 7 minutes.
I let it rip.
You were a hungry man.
You notice that? I let it rip. Yeah. I wasn't out as late as you though.
Yeah. No. Hey, but I still got here on time.
You did.
Yeah,
you
I
did.
was terrified of oversleep.
And even took care of Tilly unprompted. I mean, that was
dogs first. Dogs first.
always in life.
We love our furry friends.
So brunch option. It's underway. We've already got folks in here enjoying it. The bar menu is available as well. There's TVs over by the bar. You've got the sound on inside and outside today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Whole thing. When the game kicks off, we also got Chesapeake Bloodies. Like anytime you get a Bloody Mary where I have to go to the kitchen to get ingredients to finish it, that's how you know it's a good Bloody.
Yeah,
all right.
No doubt. Well, we're getting ready for, of course, Ravens Browns today. I'll get you out of here on this question right here, related to the game itself, or maybe just about, because we were talking about it before we went on, and you were talking a little bit about this Derrick Henry dude and the acquisition that he's meant to Baltimore. I mean, he leads the league in rushing yards right now. Okay.
Nobody knew that this man was going to show up the way he showed up, except for Derrick Henry, who always knew he could do it. He's been training for it his whole life, and it's so awesome to see him get second win, second life, and a chance to show what he's always been capable of and always been doing, really, but just didn't have the team that he's got now to support him around it.
Good Lord. I mean, the offensive line that he had last year in Tennessee was among the worst league-wide, statistically speaking. So that's obviously been an upgrade for him. And then the scheme and playing alongside Lamar has just been a perfect marriage. These two complement each other so incredibly well. And Keaton Mitchell hasn't even gotten back into the fold yet as well from a speed standpoint. But think about this, too. Day one of free agency last year in March, Derrick was passed on. The Ravens waited their turn. They kind of hung back in the wings, right, in the shadows, and then came out and signed him with that $16 million over a couple of years. And he's just been everything and more of what they expected.
Every team that doesn't win the Super Bowl this year is going to wish they would have done what the Ravens did. That's all I'm saying.
Dallas might be one of those as well.
You know what? Dallas couldn't win a Super Bowl. All right. We all know that. All right. The trophy won't fit in Texas. All right. It's a big state, but not big enough.
Yeah. They just make some decisions from an organizational standpoint that just make you scratch your head. And then can you imagine being a fan base of a team where your owner actually speaks as much as the head coach does? Like from a press conference standpoint?
He got away with a lot when Troy Aikman was down there. All right. And he never realized, hey, Troy's gone. That team's gone. All right. We don't have Emmitt Smith anymore. I should be more quiet.
Troy has actually torched the Cowboys in recent weeks. And so much so, Mike McCarthy was asked about it, their head coach, and he was not exactly pleased. So, yeah, in Dallas land right now, if you were to kind of weigh it, I know Derrick actually lives there in the offseason. He's got a house there. But if you were to go and be like, all right, where would I rather be right now? I think the answer is pretty clear.
Oh, yeah.
And it's in this town. So, there you have it.
Well, and especially we have our – it seems like the Ravens locker room, the cohesiveness and the team unity is back. You know, we got a little rocky when the Lamar contract deal was being talked about.
Did it ever?
Everybody had their own opinion, and everybody was talking about it too much. And you could feel the tensity, like the tension in the locker room.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like everything feels back to normal now.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I think you make a good point there. Even on top of how loud it was this offseason at times coming off the AFC Championship loss, right? It feels as if because of the way that they're functioning right now, not as a complete team. They're not a complete team. I opened up the show talking about the deficiencies of the secondary, the deficiencies of this defense. And so they're not a complete team. But maybe, just maybe, if they can find an acquisition between now and the trade deadline, you can get more up front from a pass rush standpoint, which won't magnify what's been happening on the back end as much. Maybe they can start to make strides as they're continuing to win games to get more back to that cohesiveness from all three levels and phases, because that has not been the case. Unlike last year, they were a complete team last year. I think that's what made it so disappointing, the loss, losing the way they did, pedestrian performance when all the lights were on at home against Kansas City.
Oh yeah,
you know?
and as much as we want to pick on Flowers, all right, let's be honest. If I was 20 years old and caught the passes he caught, I would have been losing my mind.
Yeah.
Because I mean, so I don't hold that against him, and we all grow up a little bit,
And he certainly has, and he looks like a wide receiver one. He is one of those guys that's listed as questionable today. He's expected to have a pregame workout that's probably happening right now, matter of fact, to test out whether or not that ankle is going to be good to go come 1 o'clock in Cleveland. All right, I'm actually going to get you out of here on this.
Thanks, brother.
One more, because I'm really looking forward to this answer. You have spent a good portion of your professional career in the Fells Point after-hours industry, let's call it, right? You know where this is going.
Oh, dear.
Okay, in the establishment industry. Give me a Raven or an Oriole, past or present, not named Jimmy Smith, that you feel like has had the most fun, we'll leave it at fun, in Fells Point.
I don't kiss and tell.
And that is fair enough. Fair enough for me. If I asked you last night, it might have been a different answer, though. Appreciate you, Tristan. That is a fantastic answer right there. Well played. He's been there. I think he's a seasoned veteran right there. Tilly, how are you doing? Let's make sure that you're with me here so you don't go roaming off. Give me 1 second, guys. Just want to make sure her leash is attached to my chair. She tends to be a friendly one. You okay? You doing all right? All right. Well, glad you guys can be with me today. We are here at Michael's Cafe in Timonium, Maryland. And let's take a look at, in terms of today, what we can expect from a health and availability standpoint. And the Ravens put out their injury report, of course, as they always do at 4 o'clock on Friday. And it looked like it was pretty lengthy. We do have some updates specifically on several of these players, and the inactives just came out, okay? As of 8 minutes ago, first and foremost, Zay Flowers had not yet been cited in pregame warmups, okay? He could potentially be coming out closer to kickoff. But the inactives, and I'll tell you what, why don't we do this? Because this information that you're seeing on the screen here is a little outdated. So why don't we do this on the fly? Let's go to the inactives. And here they are. Nate Wiggins did not make the trip to Cleveland. Okay, and he was on that injury report on Friday with a shoulder and an illness designation. He was a DNP Wednesday, practiced in full on Thursday, downgraded to limited on Friday, was listed as questionable, but again, did not travel with the team to Cleveland. So the rookie first rounder out of Clemson will not be available today. He is inactive, as are Rasheen Ali, Marlon Humphrey, Adisa Isaac, Nick Samak, And the surprise here is that David Ojabo just popped up on this list after not appearing on the injury report all week long. I have no idea what's going on with him, but that's happening. Devontae Walker is active for the second straight week at wide receiver. He logged 11 special team snaps last week in Tampa Bay. Ojabo could potentially be viewed as a healthy scratch. I hope that's not the case, just based on performance-wise. But if that is the case, that's a concern for, or if that isn't the case, that could be a potential concern for something that flared up on him over the weekend. But in terms of outside linebackers, they'll go with Odafe Owe, Kyle Van Noy, Yannick Ngakoue, and Tavius Robinson. From a safety standpoint, they will have Marcus Williams, Eddie Jackson, Kyle Hamilton. Bo Braid will be available today, the undrafted rookie out of Maryland, as will Sanusi Kane, the 7th rounder out of Purdue. Ardarius Washington will also be available. Chris Collier will serve as RB3, mostly in a special teams role. Of course, Derrick Henry and Justice Hill, string 1 and string 2 in that department. And these are some of the thoughts of mine that are coming out as the inactives were released. The cornerback room is probably the biggest storyline here. We're just talking about Brandon Stevens, Jalen Armour-Davis, Arthur Maulet, right? Ardarius Washington. Not a lot of options in that room right now. And with no Marlon Humphrey and Nate Wiggins, it's looking thinner than usual. Marlon is the second leading interceptions getter so far through 7 weeks. He had 2 in the first half, of course, as we all remembered last night in Tampa Bay. And Jalen Armour-Davis was activated off of injured reserve on Saturday. So I don't know what they're going to be expecting from him, but I would imagine he's going to have to get his legs from underneath him quickly. Arthur Maulet will make his season debut, having undergone arthroscopic knee surgery at the end of the summer. Brandon Stevens, of course, will continue to make his efforts felt. Bump Cooper Jr. was a practice squad elevation. He's set to make his NFL debut as a corner. But the point is there's inexperience and there's been some instability that the Ravens are going to have to deal with going into Week 8 in Cleveland, this divisional matchup from a secondary standpoint. But this does mean, from an offensive standpoint, that Zay Flowers is active. Zay, of course, was listed as questionable with an ankle injury at the end of last week. He returned to practice on Friday, looked good to the beat reporters that were in attendance at the end of the last week. And we know that Zay is Lamar's leading receiver. He's got 34 catches for 412 receiving yards this season to go along with 1 touchdown as well. What are your guys' thoughts on the inactive list? Cornerback room. And thank you, Just Chuck. TJ Tampa has been placed on injured reserve, so he'll miss at least the next 4 weeks. That is TJ Tampa, the rookie corner. So, look, you all remember, maybe you do, from Friday's show. Sarah and I both predicted the Ravens as winners. I got them winners of, I think, 35-20 was my final score. But the reality is, Jameis Winston, while he's making his debut in Cleveland, and the offense has certainly been pedestrian-like, and that's putting it lightly so far this year for the Browns. Can Jameis Winston get in there and light it up and put up some points? I think he will. I think he'll give this team a spark, a desperately needed spark in Cleveland. But I don't think he's going to be able to keep up with what the Ravens are doing offensively right now. And that's with or without Zay Flowers as a factor today. Mark Andrews, I'm expecting a big game from Mark Andrews today. He's starting to round out into form here the last couple weeks. He looks healthy. He's playing selflessly. The middle part of the field and the tight end position specifically has been a soft spot for the Browns. And I think that's an area that the Ravens could and should attack and make sure that they keep them honest. Well, we've got our first spammer of the day. All games streaming on NFLHD.com. Going to ban their ass real quick right now. And I'm so glad you guys can be here today. And we've got guest number 2 who's waiting in the on-deck circle. And I can tell he's just jacked up. He's got his Crucial Catch sweatshirt on. He is my trusty producer and colleague, I might add, Mr. Zach Evans from Primary Residential Mortgage, who joins me as of right now. My friend, good to see you. Hope you enjoyed your brunch. And as always, I appreciate you for being here.
Of course, of course.
The inactives are out, and you may have heard me just speaking about them a minute ago. But it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge today, or a test day, shall we say, for the Ravens secondary against Cleveland's playmaking ability outside, because there's no Marlon.
Ooh.
Nate did not travel to Cleveland, as we talked about before we went on. And as a result, they're going to be leaning on some young guys, including some guys that have been banged up recently. And that is like Arthur Maulette and Jalen Armour-Davis.
Kind of sounds like it's an Ardarius Washington coming out day, at least for what I hope. But let's be honest, Bobby, it seems like every game is kind of a test for this Ravens secondary. Between the dropped interceptions, the passing defense not being great. So luckily, I think we're going up against a team that hopefully doesn't have that much success passing. I mean, they just got rid of their best passing weapon. So, it's one of those things where, we'll take it where we can get it. For injury wise, we've been pretty lucky this year, in my opinion. So if this is the week that we're going to struggle against the very struggling Browns, I'll take it. But the feeling of this being a trap game is so entrenched in my stomach. Like the Ravens have rolled 5 in a row. Here comes Kevin Stefanski in an AFC North matchup. Here comes the Browns and, Jameis Winston. It just feels like it's going to be a 24-27 heartbreaker that, Tucker missed a field goal or something like that. And I can't get that out of my head. And I'm really hopeful that they prove me wrong.
Yeah, I guess the way that everybody defines trap game is interesting, because I think generally speaking, that's what I've seen throughout the fan base, is that there's been a collective thought that today would represent that. I tell you what, in division is in division. You can take every single statistic and ranking through 7 weeks and throw out the win-loss record. We know how it goes.
100%.
But the reality is, I think there's one. If the Ravens secondary has been susceptible of the big play,
yes,
then I think from an offensive standpoint, Jameis Winston is going to be susceptible of recklessness.
Yes.
That has been, and that's the Jameis Winston experience.
Yes.
I don't know how that's going to blend with a defense that has allowed the big play, because Jameis is unafraid.
Yeah.
And as of right now, let's be clear, this dude's playing for his heart.
100%.
Right now, he's playing to show and reaffirm in his mind that he can still be one of the best 32 in the league. And so he's got nothing to lose today.
No.
Jameis. And so that to me, that's where it gets a little like, oh boy, hold your horses here.
Yeah.
Jameis is coming and firing. We know he's a gunslinger. We know he's going to try and push the ball down the field.
100%.
And that's where the Ravens have, even if it is a sample size of 5, 6, 7 plays per game, those are the deciding factors at times.
100%.
I thought Jeremiah, just in the live chat a second ago, made a good point here that I'm kind of getting at right now. He goes, I don't believe Marcus Williams is washed. He will get 2 picks. He will get picks today, plural, against a guy like Winston, in my opinion.
Like the plural.
I don't know about plural picks from Marcus. I mean, hey, speak that into existence all you want. But what I do think, and where I was kind of going, and this is a good segue here, is that similarly to Baker Mayfield, if you can make him uncomfortable early and start to force the issue from a decision-making standpoint, that's where I think Marlon Humphrey or not, and he's not going to be available today.
Sure.
That's when you can start to at least give yourself chances. And you said it before the show.
Yeah.
Get the goddamn jugs machine going. But at least you're going to have chances of turning Jameis over.
No, 100%. I think the important part to remember, too, is that this D-line has been absolutely killing it this year in a position of like, OA is showing up in big numbers. And I think we're starting to see the Haloti Ngata effect with Justin Madubuike, where you're not really hearing about Madubuike much anymore because he's getting double teamed, triple teamed. And that's why you're hearing about KVN. That's why you're hearing about Odafe Owe. people don't realize you don't pay the interior D lineman to go be that guy who gets 20 sacks a day, a season. Not everybody's Aaron Donald, but when you have a Justin Madubuike that frees up those outside guys because he's taking so much leverage inside, it completely changes your defense. Yeah, just like somebody else said in the chat too, Travis Jones.
That is Coach Evans, baby. Sip the tally right there.
What's
up, Coach?
I love it. It's one of those things, man. Madubuike frees up this defense, and I think for Jameis too, like you said, being reckless. Sometimes when you're reckless, you're not really in the pocket presence-wise, and I think this might be a feast for the Ravens D-line if we can get past that struggling Cleveland O-line.
I'm glad Sip brought up Travis because this is a dude that just clogs up space in the middle of that defensive front. 100%. He did pop up on the injury report this week, but as we learned in the inactives, he's going to try and give it a go with that ankle. So, again, big question marks surrounding the secondary right now. It's kind of put up or shut up time right 100%, now because you're down dogs. Everybody's questioning you, which is it's deserved questioning. I mean, it certainly is.
Yeah.
But you got to get pressure. You got to get pressure on Jameis. He is, I don't know if rusty is the right word, but he certainly is going to have to get his NFL legs from underneath him. He's going to have to kind of sip into his memory bank here as a starter with a ton of experience under his belt.
Definitely.
But from a Brown standpoint, having checked in with them this week, and we were pleased to have Daniel Oyefusi on the show on Friday. He used to work for The Sun, who now works for ESPN.com. He's a Browns reporter. And as he noted, they're going to have some injuries up and down that offensive line, including Dedrick Wills, who's is it Jedrick or Dedrick? I believe is it Jedrick?
I think it's Jedrick.
Jedrick.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, their left tackle is no longer. So DeJuan Jones is going to be starting. At least that was the expectation at left tackle, meaning you've got some inconsistency, lack of cohesion up and down that line could be an advantage for the Ravens defensive front.
100%.
We are getting spammed today.
I know.
Holy
I know.
hell.
I do love Drew's comment there talking about, they should take ads out of YouTube streaming. He's missing stuff. Let me tell you something, Drew. If you were here in Michael's Cafe in Timonium, you wouldn't miss a thing. There's no commercials here. And in fact, there's cold beer. I had a biscuits and gravy for breakfast. Absolutely outstanding. So, no, it's good stuff. Listen, I'm truly – the Mark Andrews coming out party last week was great. Finally silenced everybody. I think people need to realize there's way too many mouths to feed. Bobby and I talked about it before we hopped on.
Jedrick with a J.
Jedrick. Okay. All right. We got it.
Sorry to lose your train of thought there.
No. So, I think especially once Keaton Mitchell comes back, I mean, how the hell do you feed Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Keaton Mitchell, Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely? It almost becomes unstoppable. And that's the kind of depth that you want, because if somebody goes down, you want to be able to have guys, quickly there. But at the same time, it's, third down in the fourth quarter and you're putting in subs because your guys are tired. I'll sub in Isaiah Likely and Keaton Mitchell any day of the week. So I'm excited for this team. I'm excited for, I really hope we go out here. We crush the Browns.
The heck are you doing? Tilly's turning heads over here.
Tilly's out here talking about the Browns too. She thought it was the dog pound.
Well played there.
Thank you. But no, I think if we get past the Browns today, I mean, really, this season really opens up for us. I mean, anything to shut these Steeler fans up. I mean, my God, there are my mentions. Oh, we're 5-2 with Justin Fields. I can't with the Steelers this year.
They are keeping pace.
They are.
They are keeping pace. 5-2, of course, atop the division right now are the Ravens and the Steelers, and they haven't even played Pittsburgh yet. And we know how backloaded, I should say, the second half of this regular season schedule is for the Ravens when it comes to AFC North play.
Yeah.
Next week will be Denver. Then it's a rematch with Cincy, of course, Thursday Night Football. And if that lives up to what the first round was like, holy hell, we are in for a primetime treat. We're getting spammed yet again.
Oh, my God.
That tells me that we're having some success. We're having a little bit of success.
I think so.
Ban user. I'm going to ban their ass.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do.
Ban hammer.
All right. I've spent 35 minutes plus talking about the defense, talking about some of the deficiencies here, talking about some of the injuries, talking about some of what some feel in the live chat is overly negative. So let's start to turn the page, shall we?
Let's go.
Because this is the number one ranked offense in a slew of categories through 7 weeks. Todd Monken is cooking. Lamar Jackson is a bona fide MVP frontrunner for MV3, if you will. They're getting contributions all across the field. Rashad Bateman is coming off a career night, I should say. Derrick Henry leads the league in rushing, and it's not close. Jordan Mason, I think, it's well over 100 yards different so far. He's the former undrafted rookie in San Francisco who's getting a lot of time because of Christian McCaffrey being down. And by the way, Lamar is the top 11 rusher. And that's not just among quarterbacks.
It's unreal.
Top 11 rusher. Top 5 passer.
Do you think it's Todd Monken coming out with the play sheet in his pants every week? Is that what does it for this team? Like, they see that, they're like, that's our guy.
Well, I know that folks get very excited about that. and they are on Todd Monken crotch watch, if you will. Okay. And we're labeling that as such today. That started today.
I love that. Let's go.
Love that. I think he's like low key, totally leaning into that while making it seem like he's not, which is hilarious.
It's the Crucial Catch hoodie. It's the playbook right there in his pants,
which speaks to his dry sense of humor.
Yeah.
But everybody's been talking about this team, this quarterback, this duo, and we know this duo has been nothing short of lethal. Listen to Greg Cosell.
Playing as well or better than any quarterback in the league, both physically and mentally. He's really advanced as a player. He always was just a unique cat in terms of the way in which, the physical athletic traits. But he is now playing incredibly smart, intelligent football. He just looks so good watching him play. And you still get those plays. A great example, and I know people can't see this, but the Bateman 59-yard completion this past week that came in the second quarter was such a great example of the chess match and of what Lamar brings to the table.
Oh, what a perfect segue, because Kurt Warner, the Hall of Fame quarterback, by the way, it's a legend, the legendary Greg Cosell right there, who's been on the Lamar train all season long, as a lot of us have been. That specific hookup that he just referenced right there with Rashad Bateman not only speaks to the growing and budding chemistry that these two have had, which, by the way, Bateman has spoken a lot about. He's kind of talked his talk in the media in recent weeks, showing that his confidence is sort of oozing right now. But that vertical threat that Rashad Bateman and Lamar Jackson now possess and adds this flavor of layers to what this offense brings you. Kurt Warner did a great job of breaking down how that play came to fruition on Monday night in Tampa Bay. Listen to this.
Plays. Great protection first and foremost, obviously. And then Bateman here is going to run a corner pump. Gives me time to be able to sit back there and see it. What do I see? I see this safety right here, right? That's my guy that I'm worried about if I'm running this play. Okay, I got a safety up over the top of a double move. I got to see him. What does he do? If he gets depth and he double teams this, then I got to work down. But what's he see? Look at Winfield. What's Winfield doing? Winfield is cheating back to the front side, trying to jump all this stuff. Gotcha. Lamar Jackson going, I see ya. You want to try to cheat on me? I'm going to take advantage of that. Boom. Lay the ball out there. Perfect throw on the money. Double move. Now, taking advantage of the mistakes of the defense on top of it. Love it. And this is what I've been talking about. This is Lamar Jackson that I always felt was in there. And now we're seeing it. It was okay that he wasn't a finished product early on, that he was growing into this offense and this feel for the game. But I always felt it was there, and it was one of the reasons why when everybody called me a hater, for me it was just, this is where I want to see him go. This is where I want to see him grow. This is what I know he's capable of doing. Now we're seeing all that.
Former Hall of Fame QB Kurt Warner speaking very, very, very highly of Lamar Jackson, as he's done in the past as well. And as PFF notes here, perhaps an area where the Ravens and Lamar can exploit from a Cleveland standpoint is their defense's vulnerability to play action. Lamar has the second most passing yards off play action this season with 627. The Browns defense ranks 29th in yards per play allowed when facing play action. So this could be a plus for Baltimore, as PFF notes here. But man, Kurt, just one of the many on the national scene that's given Lamar his flowers.
No, it's good to see Lamar finally get his flowers. There's always going to be the people who say, he can't reach the peak until he's won a Super Bowl. And I understand them saying that, but Lamar this year, just like to your point, to Kurt's point, I think he's taken that next step. So I was just talking to my dad about this over the past week. In prior years when Lamar would get out of the pocket, it's he would force things like back shoulder throws across his field, and we haven't seen the stereotypical, like, what are you thinking Lamar play where he's running across the field and he just throws a terrible interception.
Although that backward lateral,
and the touchdown to Likely where he botched the snap and it turned into a touchdown.
Oh yeah,
I mean that's across his across his body. In past years that was a pick, and in past years that was just like a bozo play. Like, what are you doing? Lamar this year, I feel like is. You can see it on Ravens Wired too when he's like talking to Zay and talking to Bateman on the field. And he's saying things like, he's dissecting coverages and he's saying, hey, next time they do this, you cut this way. Yep. I mean, it's unbelievable. I never in my time thought that Lamar Jackson would be out there being Peyton Manning, dissecting a defense, piece by piece. It's truly just insane to see the steps that he's taken. And this year, I mean, if he's not an MVP again, it'd be mind-boggling to me. He's looked better. He's done better. I mean, he's out there blocking for Derrick Henry, which we would never recommend.
Lead block.
So it's just with him and Derrick Henry and things like that. I think we're finally seeing the flowers of that. But I also think it's Lamar Jackson being in a multi-year time with an offensive coordinator not named Greg Roman. So that also helps.
His ability to diagnose, his ability to just read defenses, his ability to make checks at the line of scrimmage,
right.
His ability, obviously, to make – we've seen this from day one, right? Making nothing into something routinely, his escapability, the outside the numbers accuracy, the decision-making, the elusiveness. I mean, time and time again, he adds something to his game that you didn't feel like he might. And this year, it's been absolutely decimating teams when they bring pressure.
Yes.
They have a pressure plan, okay, as Dan Orlovsky and Kurt Warner always talk about so eloquently. Todd Monken and Lamar Jackson have a pressure plan.
Yeah.
And if you are going to blitz them, good night.
Talk about the Justice Hill screen. The perfect play call. They're bringing pressure on second and goal from the 20.
Yes.
And you run a Justice Hill screen with 5 of the most athletic linemen in the league just running downhill. I mean, just like genius play calling by Monken. But, just like you're saying to your point, it's just been beautiful.
I'll get you out of here on this prediction and one matchup to watch today.
Prediction, I'm going to say 30-23 Baltimore, even though I think it's a trap game. I'm going to say the Baltimore still pulls it out 30-23. They cover the spread. I'm going to say my matchup to watch will be probably the Ravens defensive line versus that Cleveland O-line.
Yep. I'm gonna look at. I'm going 35-20.
Okay.
35-20 Ravens. And as I mentioned on Friday, I think Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is one of the more athletic linebackers out there that I don't know if he can hang play for play, tap for tap with Lamar.
Yeah.
But in the past, he's shown that he is really, really savvy in space. And so I want to see those two battling it out. And, of course, Lamar kind of giving him a little bit of a jerk, taking his lunch type thing. But 100%. Zach Evans from Primary Residential Mortgage, as always, I appreciate you for dropping by. I'm sure Michael will be on deck here in a bit if you want to mention that to him.
Yeah.
But we're here at Michael's Cafe. It's hosted by Primary Residential Mortgage, as it has been not only, the first 3 times we've done this, but, of course, I've been with PRMI for over a year now. You can click on the link that's included as a pinned comment in the live chat if you'd like to learn more and get your home buying process started, especially given that we're about a month removed from the rate cuts.
100%.
Yeah.
The only way to make wealth in this country if you're not an NFL player is to buy real estate. So
there you have it.
Let's get it done.
Love it.
Call.
Zach, appreciate you as always.
Yeah, man.
Producer extraordinaire, Flock Nation member, and of course, a lot of people are liking that sweatshirt too. So you might have to run.
I had to call the Ravens to get this. It was unbelievable.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate you as always. We are here, over 500 of you joining me this afternoon. I should say that, 3 minutes into the afternoon. How about that? Glad you guys can be with me today. We're getting ready for, of course, week 8 of this NFL regular season. Tilly is tangling me up with her leash down below. She's just having herself a blast, aren't you, Till? I know you are. All right, let's just go like this. Come here. I know. Tilly's tired from our hike yesterday. Okay. All right, lay down. You can't talk about all this success offensively speaking without talking about the King and what kind of role he has played since coming to Baltimore. Number 22 leads the league right now in rushing yards. Some of the statistics that this guy's putting up in this offense, are just inhumane, okay? He's got more rushing yards than all the teams that you see on the screen right now. A slew of them. And when Brown safety Grant Delpit was asked how the hell you prepare for him, he said, hey, we're just going to put DeWand on scout team running back and let him give us a good look. You guys know who DeWand Jones is? He's Cleveland's 6'8", 375-pound offensive tackle. Now, he was joking, but if that doesn't speak to, like, the respect that you have to have for Derrick Henry because of his stature, I don't know what will. And here he is talking about the longevity that's gone into being this successful on the eve, not the eve, but 2 months out from his 31st birthday.
Them people, man, hey, it's how you feel, dog, and you toting that thing better than anybody in the league right now. So how does that even feel, bro? Because when you turn 30, they just suppose like you're gonna fall off. How did that feel, bro? Coming from Tennessee last year, went for 1,100 yards and 12 TDs just last year, and these people talking about he 30, he gonna be old, he ain't gonna be the same. Like what's that about, bro? What that made you feel like, bro?
Yeah, really, I just wanted an opportunity. I knew I still had a lot left in the tank, and then being a free agent, just seeing who was interested, and I wanted to be Baltimore. There was Baltimore. It was not the Cowboys.
Oh,
The Cowboys were, if Baltimore wasn't interested, then that'd be another good spot to go to because I live in Dallas. There's been so much talks about I want to go to the Cowboys. That's why I wanted to be. I wanted to be here in Baltimore, and thank God it happened. But being 30 years old in our position, that comes that stigma is always going to be on a running back position, no matter who you are, just because that's the nature of the game as far as age and the position. But I don't focus on that. I know I can still play at a high level, and thank God I'm able to play this long, and been trending in the right direction, so far this season.
Why is 30 that magic number for running backs?
I don't know. It's just the statistics of the position, and especially guys who had success early, who get a lot of carries, and then have a lot of mileage. And then once you get up to that age, then you kind of see a little fall off as you creep into the 30s and 31s. But it's been some guys who've had success, but it's not it's not a lot of guys that had that much success. But I mean, I understand it, but I don't accept it. So
right.
I'm gonna write my own narrative and work as hard as I can to have success and help my team and do my job the best way I can.
I understand it, but I don't accept it. That from King Henry, who turns 31 in December, and right now leads the league in rushing yards with 873, well clear of Jordan Mason, who is second league-wide in San Francisco right now with 667, of course, chipping in for an injured Christian McCaffrey. Guest lines are open. We're a little less than an hour away from kickoff in Cleveland, Week 8. Ravens trying to make it 6 in a row against the Browns today. And my friend Justin Holt chiming in here. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
What's up, Bobby? How you been, man?
I'm great. What you got going on today?
Nothing, man. Waiting for my son to come over, watch the game. Same stuff every Sunday. So.
Hell yeah.
No.
What's the outlook today?
I don't know. I'm a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie. You know what I mean? Just it's divisional, and then with Marlowe and Wiggins both being out, that concerns me. I've mentioned something in the comments about the linebackers. I mean, with Ajabo out and Isaac hasn't really played much. it's like it seemed like last year when we had Clowney and all, we had like a rotation to keep those older guys kind of fresher. And like Van Noy plays like a superhero, but if he's playing the whole game, I mean, you got 4 outside linebackers that are healthy. You got who? Adafe Owe, Van Noy, you got Malik Harrison, and you got Tavius Robinson. And they got to go the whole game. I mean, if Jameis Winston's out there slinging it around and our DBs can't keep him off the field and we're out on the field, I mean, you get gassed pretty quick like that, especially somebody like Van Noy's age, and it's like I'm concerned. I'm hoping Tavius Robinson has like a huge game. He looked real good. I rewatched the Tampa game. I thought Tavius looked good, but I am a little nervous because if we can't get off the field and they can have any long drives, I'm just worried about our pass rush.
Let's see what Yannick Ngakoue can give him today. He's going to be somebody I'm sure that will have an increase in his snap count, but when you looked at the inactives, as we did earlier on when they came out, David Ojabo popped up on the list. And what was surprising about that is, barring something that we're not aware of when it comes to his health that popped up or flared up over the weekend, that's a healthy scratch for Ojabo, given the expectations surrounding him, some of the optimism, right? Some of the encouraging flashes that we'd seen of him just in passing. That's a big question of mine going into the post-game press conference when John Harbaugh is inevitably asked about it either tonight or tomorrow. And nobody's talking about it either. So whether or not it's health or just a healthy scratch, but if it's the latter, that's highly disappointing.
Yeah, I think like everybody talking all Cooper Kupp and all this about wide receivers. I think our offense is fine. I love what we got. I love Bateman showing up. Zay's awesome. Our tight ends are great. The running back room is only going to get better when Keaton gets back. I mean, I think we need pass rush. I don't know where we're going to get it. I don't know if we can afford Max Crosby. I know everybody what the dreams of that, and I'd love to see Clowney back. And I don't know about Zadarius, but like, I think we got to do something. I don't know what, but we have to do something.
Here's my thing. It's like, if Crosby's going to take multiple ones, like, that's just not happening. And I don't even think he's available.
No.
He'd be available, of course, for the right price. If you're Vegas, you're not saying no to a ridiculous offer. But I just don't see the Ravens playing that game whatsoever. I think they'd be more in that, veteran type of market that isn't going to break the bank, but could also still provide what a Zadarius Smith would provide, right? Which would be, at the very least, sort of or probably at best, to be honest with you, at best, a Kyle Van Noy effort. And Kyle has been, where would they be right now from an outside linebacker standpoint without Kyle? I mean, he's still like 1 or 2 sacks off the league lead, and I don't think he's had one in a couple weeks. So now, as he talked about recently, he's been getting double teamed and chipped. He said that on his podcast, and so he's got to, as he kind of acknowledged and also stated, he wants to live in a world where he can find ways around that, and he vowed to do so. But I think that continues to be a position group that should be priority number 1 between now and November 5th.
All right, Bobby, I'll get out of here. I think 27-24 Ravens, but it's scary. And I think if it's 27-24 the other way, I wouldn't be shocked. But go Ravens. Peace out, flock. Have a good weekend, Bobby.
Appreciate you, Justin. Yeah, thanks for calling in, dude. Live chat, by the way, has a pinned comment. You'll see a link that'll allow you to call into the show if you are interested in doing so. And Zach, let's get Michael on here in a bit after he's finished. I know he's just finished. I know he's got brunch going on. So if he wants to, he can come on. The guest line, we're just going to start cycling through the guest lines right now. We're a little over 45 minutes away from kickoff. And Dom, welcome inside the channel, my friend. How are you? Happy game day.
Yo, what's up, Bobby? Happy game day. I kind of think I've been listening to a lot of film study, like with Kim Cusick, and one of the things he's been harping on a lot is that the Ravens have been kind of playing with fire with only having 4 defensive linemen active on game day since the beginning of the year. And we kind of saw it last week in the fourth quarter because Travis Jones got an ankle injury and he played 2 snaps in the fourth quarter. And so we had 3 linemen in rotation, and that probably played a pretty big factor into how the pass rush performed because we didn't get a single sack until the 2-point conversion.
And not a single pressure in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, so I feel like maybe they need to open up the rotation to like high players so we can have a more fluid rotation to keep those big guys more fresh in the fourth quarter. But I really think the issue is, I really think if like that can be shored up, it's definitely a backline issue. We need to do something about safety because I feel like that little triangle with Roquan and the two safeties is causing a massive underperformance because Roquan has to make up for the fact that some of our safeties are blowing coverages or getting picked on a lot. And I think like one, just like potentially fixing the Eddie Jackson role might be enough to make it so that Roquan is able to be more free in his play.
Yeah, no, I think you make a bunch of good points there. Ken's the man. We know we love Ken and friend of the show. And I know he's also been an advocate of actually on the flip side of what a lot of people have been discussing ahead of the trade deadline. He thinks that deep safety should be addressed. And I actually had one of his tweets that sort of reflect. Look, I think there's a good argument to be made in terms of whether it's a pass rusher or back end type player that would help this team the best. But what's undeniable are these numbers right here that he compiled, and that is yards per target numbers for Marcus and Eddie. And these are not exactly ones that you want to write home about. 12.5 yards per target allowed by Marcus, 13.2 by Eddie. It's just given the money, given the investment that they have tied into Marcus, Eddie, not so much, right? He was sort of your latter half summer type player. I know a lot of fans in the fan base wanted Justin Simmons. That just wasn't going to happen from a monetary standpoint.
Yeah.
But these numbers right here, yeah, you just wonder if they didn't have a middle of the road pass rush, and according to the pass rush win rate, other statistics, they are a middle of the road pass rush, right? If you put them back to where they were last year, or at least a quarter of where they were last year, and they're a top 5, top 10 unit, I wonder how different these numbers look. I wonder how less magnified some of these shortcomings would be on the back end.
And like a lot of it's just like a lot of it seems to be coverage busts. And I don't know what the disconnect is between like, is it a coaching thing? Is it the players is the scheme too complicated? It's just weird. And with the middle of the road pass rush, if the pass defense was just middle of the road, we would be blowing out teams by like 30 points. But like with the middle of the road pass rush and the back end being the worst in the league, arguably, it's not a good look right now.
Literally, the statistics tell you that it's the worst passing defense. Like the numbers don't lie, and these numbers certainly don't lie. It's one of those tricky situations that they find themselves in right now. And I wonder if today, given Marlon and Nate being unavailable, and Bo and Sanusi and Ardarius all being available and active in Bo and Sanusi's cases, as they've been up and down, obviously, from a availability standpoint. I wonder if they start to kind of tweak things ever so slightly in game on that back end, rotationally speaking. And if that's the case, and some of these guys answer the bell, will changes be made? I think that question is a relevant one going into today.
Also, we need to find somebody else that can catch, because Marlon is literally the only person that can catch in the back end.
You're not kidding. I mean, can we get a jugs machine in every single one of these guys' backyards in their townhomes in Owings Mills or what?
Yeah, that's definitely not helping our pass defense.
So, anyway, Dom, I appreciate you calling in. I got an in-person guest, much more than a guest that's going to be joining me right now. But, Dom, thanks for being here.
All right, no problem.
You're the man.
Thank you.
See you, man.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get things going here. Let's put up the logo. Let's put where we are on the ticker here.
Tilly's right below me.
Tilly's like got me wrangled up here.
She loves it. I'm gonna bring Finn next time.
Back by popular demand.
Woo! That's what they said.
a few weeks after our first in-person guest experience here at Michael's Cafe, my friend Michael Clark.
I came without a drink this time.
PRMI.
I figured based on last time, I'm giving things away. I mean, it's.
I wonder if it's going to live up to what it was.
Well, it might. Who knows?
Primary Residential Mortgages own. My friend, my loyal friend, my business partner here, Michael Clark, joins me, and
it's good to see you.
Yeah, you too. We got a great experience as we always do at Michael's, Halloween-esque.
It's crazy in here, huh?
The decorations are through the roof. They've got the shades just came down. It's a fun game day experience.
Yeah.
But we got a big one on tap here today from a Ravens perspective, trying to make it 6 in a row. But what we've talked a lot about so far, and as these callers are kind of calling in here, it begs the question: if the offense has a pedestrian-like day, can the defense win this team games right now? And I think the answer is a resounding no.
No, yeah, I couldn't agree more. The Bengals game gave me that answer.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they could not stop you and I. It felt like that day. But, I mean, listen, the offense has to click. And what are they saying today online? It's like tight ends. It's like the
National
Tight End Day. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd like to see some version of Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. I mean, no joke. I think Mark Andrews, I mean, what a shame, the injury, but I mean, he was having an absolutely incredible career. Still probably would go down as one of the greats, but the guy has been non-existent. I mean, he's not even existent in the pass rush in the run offense, in my opinion. But yeah, I'd love to see the offense score at least 31 points today.
I think in their sleep they've been putting up that kind of number.
They have.
But I guess where I'm going, though, from a defensive standpoint, is that if they were to scuffle on a day like today, because you can throw all the rankings, all the win-loss records out the door for an in-division game, and if that were to happen, if they were to have a pedestrian-like day offensively, can the defense hold serve? And that's where the question marks remain. I think from a tight end standpoint, and you can talk about track record against Cleveland and past successes and whatnot, it's going to be a big day for Mark Andrews. That's what I'm expecting.
Yeah.
He's starting to put games together here the last couple of weeks. He's been overlooked by some. Matter of fact, listen to how about this? Let's do a little something off the fly here.
I love this.
Watch this. Let's do this. Brown safety Grant Delpit, okay, had this to say about Mark Andrews this week during one of his media sessions.
Mark Andrews is back to form. He's had kind of a quiet last 2 years.
I think that Likely is showing up more. I think that he's kind of becoming their more go-to guy. But it's two good tight ends out there.
Now, I'm not saying that Grant Delpit was overlooking Mark Andrews there. But if this Browns defense were to, given what they have not been able to do in the past, which is keep him at bay, I like number 89 today.
I don't disagree. I mean, neither does my my FanDuel account either. I mean, Mark Andrews. I mean, listen, the guy was putting up absolutely incredible numbers. I mean, it's been funny. I mean, you talk about two tight ends that I think are underperforming. You got Travis Kelce and you got Mark Andrews, who led the league in tight end conversation, and they've been kind of non-existent in both their offenses. And by the way, you've got Chiefs 6-7-0, and you've got the Ravens going for 6 in a row. So that's the scary part about both those offenses, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That you've got two guys that aren't really involved in the quote unquote stat sheet, but they're doing the other things.
Keaton Mitchell's been one of those guys because he just hasn't played yet. And so he's been uninvolved, but he returned to practice this week. So his 3-week window is now officially open right now to return from the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list, and talk about a certain blend of speed and explosiveness that he's going to provide for Todd Monken and company. So just one of the many layers that is still yet to come. I feel like we continue to uncover layers, not only of Lamar's game, but of what this offense is capable of doing. And I think we saw that. We've just seen it in different spurts. We saw it after scuffling the first couple weeks. They come out and just plummet and put up 30-plus easily on Dallas, right? They put up 30-plus on Cincinnati. Just time and time again. We got a little bit of a lag going on right now, don't we? Or we're getting spammed. That's what we're doing.
Listen,
Look at this. The spam is coming in flying.
I love it. No, listen, I mean, like I said, we talked about this a couple weeks ago when we were here. If you told Ravens fans that they could get out of week 4, 2-2, they were in a winning situation. They start the season. We're sitting there going, oh, my God, is it panic time?
Yeah.
And now you got everybody and their mother talking about how they're the greatest team in the NFL to date. And I don't think that that's far off.
Yeah.
Honest to God.
No, the numbers suggest that this is the most lethal offensive attack that the Ravens have ever had.
Glad to see Zay Flowers in the lineup today. 1 for fantasy, 2 for the team. I mean, listen.
Okay. Now, what do you got riding going into today?
You want the slate pick?
Well, I think so, because if memory serves,
we were 4-1 on the picks I gave. I kept track because listen, I'm a big guy about accountability.
He keeps his receipts.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can't tell the people what to do, and then I like Cincy minus 2.5 against Philadelphia today. We'll start, I guess, with the 1:00 games. So Cincy minus 2.5. These were opening lines. Again, I know. I think it's moved to 3.5. It could be even 4.5 in some books. But anyway, I know people are going to hate me at home here, but I like Cleveland plus 10.5. That's how it opened. I think it's down to like 8.5. But I like a Ravens win. But how can Cleveland lose by almost 2 scores?
Well, I think you can expect that Jameis Winston is going to give him a spark.
Yeah, listen, and the defense is going to do something. They're not going to just run all day long. But anyway, I like Cleveland plus 10.5. I like Houston minus 5.5. I mean, dude,
Who's Houston got this weekend?
They're playing Indy.
Okay, at home.
At home, yeah. I like the Jaguars plus 4.5 against Green Bay. I know that's maybe a contentious choice.
Jacksonville's do or die right now. They got to have it.
I think I love it. Detroit minus 10.5. I think the Titans are just terrible. Honest to God, I think they're terrible.
Yeah, they're in disarray.
Bad football team. Detroit coming off the game with Minnesota. I like Tampa Bay plus 2.5. I know that's again a hot take with Godwin and Evans going down last week.
Yeah.
But Atlanta, I don't know if they're legit. Like Atlanta's put up some weird. They've had some weird games through 7, 8 of the year. Patriots plus 6.5. I just think the Jets are just phony baloney. I mean, what?
You're going Patriots plus 6.5.
Have to.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, all the money's on the Jets. I mean, I think the Patriots. I'm also dating a Patriots fan, so I can't. Got to keep the households all right.
Who happens to be a marathon runner? Congratulations to Cam for the half marathon.
Yeah, unbelievable, isn't it? Arizona.
I did invite him on the show, by the way, but
I guess
he declined.
Not about it. He's more of a back of the back room.
Yes.
Plus 3.5 for Arizona, and then you go into the 4:00 games. I like New Orleans, Seattle, Washington, Vegas, Denver. Oh, it's just, I think we're going to win a lot of money this week.
Well, what was the game?
It was a chalk week, the week we talked about it. So, now you got to show your true colors. You got to pick. We've seen teams have given us, obviously some room to work here. So I like my Giants, by the way, plus 6.5 against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday night.
Giants land, boy.
They are terrible.
It's been a rough decade.
It's really a shame. It really is. New York sports. I mean, you got the Knicks season starting. I'm back in action. My Mets lost to the Dodgers. The Yankees absolutely getting smoked by the
Will
Dodgers.
Cat fit into the puzzle?
It's. I told you early. I didn't like the trade.
Yeah,
I hated giving up DiVincenzo, but we'll
Dante
see.
was the DNA.
Yeah, you got listen. These types of big blockbuster trades, this. You talk about it all the time when I listen to you. It takes 2 to 3 years to talk about a grade of a trade.
Yeah.
Early on, I think everybody's like, "Oh, it's great." The Knicks needed a 5, but dude, Randall was bully ball and DiVincenzo. You split that up.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, they got smoked by the Celtics, who, by the way, are absolutely legit.
Oh, they're ridiculous.
And by the way,
the repeat is on.
They're without Porzingis. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But a good bounce back win for the Knicks. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, back to you. I mean, the NFL. It's. I just love it. I woke up this morning. It's Sunday, beautiful day here in Baltimore. I said, it is crazy with all the rhetoric you hear in the world today. Whether you turn on the news, you look at social media. You know what makes me love this country? NFL Sunday.
Oh,
I got to tell you.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I go to the games now more recently or whatever, but there is nothing better than a 1:00 kickoff with a flyover with a national anthem to watch a football slate that we have today.
Oh, and on top of that, Brad Paisley the other night doing the national anthem for Game 2 was absurd.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting chills right now. It's just crazy. You hear all this nonsense. I mean, it's like you got to really, it matters who you surround yourself with. And I'm lucky to surround myself with you.
Oh, likewise. Over 600 of you joining us concurrently right now. We got a couple minutes left. Anything else on the docket? Can we talk about business? Can we talk about giveaways? What do we got going on today?
Well, we're going to give those tickets away. I think you got a winner, right? I mean, I'm a man of my word. So I came down here a couple weeks ago. We gave those tickets away.
We did.
We can do anything you need me to do here, Bob.
Well, why don't you tell everybody what's going on? Because in the live chat right now, there is a pinned comment with the application link.
Yes.
If you want to get your home buying process started this fall.
I mean, listen, it's a time. I'm not going to, I can't be the guy that's like, oh, it's the greatest time in the world to buy. It is a tough market out there right now. But that's, I think the pivot for me is you got to be working with the right people. You cannot be, and whether that's you've purchased in the last 2 years and somebody's trying to call on you to refinance your rate that you purchased on, whether it be, 8 weeks ago or, 18 months ago, or if you're just getting in the process. I mean, listen, I think it matters who you do business with. It's why we do what we do together. It matters who you're talking to, and I think you need more than ever to know what is going on in the marketplace, especially with the Fed funds rate and interest rates and just borrowing money is becoming more and more of a difficult process as opposed to what it has been, a commodity. And so, yeah, I mean, listen, I try really hard not to talk necessarily about business all the time, but I mean, I love what we do. We love what we're doing. You know, the division this year is going to do just shy of $700 million. We just
I heard it was a successful week last week
we
in
just
Charlotte.
had an incredible opportunity. We're partnering with a company down there, purchasing that, bringing it into the company, you know, doing about $150 to $200 million annually. And so, you know, we're happy to bring that on. You know, starting the process kind of right now. Zach, obviously, who was on earlier, he's facilitating that process. And then we're actually heading to Tampa next week. I should have gone to Tampa last week, done the Ravens game, and then, you know, I didn't really plan that out well. But, yeah, we're looking at another opportunity down there. So we're just trying to, you know, I ask myself a question of why, you know, people ask me like all the time, why are people coming and working with you? You just talked about how lending can be a commodity. Again, I think it's about who you're working with and the transparency that it is not necessarily about me, but it's about you and the process that you've got going on for you, your family, and what you're trying to do financially. It's important.
Well, Eileen Nolan wants to know if you can help her daughter take advantage of Maryland down payment help.
Oh, my God. I mean,
So
give me
there
a
you
break.
go.
I mean, Zachary Evans kills it in the Maryland Mortgage Program. Yeah, the down payment assistance programs are absolutely robust out there today. You know, in any state, by the way. I mean, we lend in all 49. We lend in 49 of the 50 states. The only state we don't lend in is my New York Giants, for good reason.
Which speaks to the audience, though, because we've got a global audience here, right?
Absolutely.
It's a lot of people that have began their fandom in Baltimore, have since went elsewhere, living wise, life wise.
The two of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Transplants to the place.
Exactly.
100% can help. And again, I think one of the things, you know, that we talk about all the time is just reach out and get involved in a standpoint of it doesn't cost you nothing, and nobody's doing anything that you don't want them to do. Again, that's the transparency I'm talking about. People don't realize how much you can do and how much money, you know, you can potentially stretch, but for the right decision, right? And again, I talk about it all the time. When I moved from Jersey to Baltimore, right, at post-college, I stayed here. I was making less than $40,000 a year teaching.
Yeah.
I bought my first house, you know, doing that on that salary. Again, there are ways to get into a home. There are ways to what I used to call leverage your life situation from a finance perspective. And yeah, absolutely. To Eileen, we can help your daughter if it's something that you need. And she's asking how, you know, if she lives, how she can connect. She can contact our team through Bobby. I know he said he's got some things in the chat pinned, but Bobby and
let
I
me just tell her right now, too.
shared landing page.
Exactly. We have
your beautiful face on it.
We have a pinned comment, Eileen, in the live chat. It's also at the top of the show notes. It just simply brings you to the primary residential mortgage landing page. We have one together. There's a unique URL. There's an easy way to communicate and contact them. It's a simple application process. And just mention my name throughout the process, and it's that simple.
Seamless. Yeah, no, we'll take care of it. We'll be happy to help you and your daughter, Eileen.
And as I've mentioned, year plus worth of partnership with Michael, Zach, and the entire crew, a lot of which are here right now. So goes that saying, been an awesome partnership, and I look forward to continue to doing things like this and working alongside you.
Listen, I'm going to keep my tabs today. See how the
Please
slate does. So we'll see. But let me know. I look forward to give. Who won those tickets, by the way? Did you pick the?
Yes,
winner?
I do. We have a winner. We have to announce it.
Okay, good.
Soon.
We'll announce it. We got it. They'll be coming to the game with me. So
perfect.
Shame for them. No, I'm just kidding. We'll give them a good time.
Love it.
A good time.
All right, Michael.
Be well.
Michael Clark.
Appreciate you. Guys.
PRMI.
Take care.
Appreciate you. We are just over a half an hour out from week 8 of this regular season commencing in Cleveland, and that means you know what time it is. I got to race across town and get ready for the in-game grind, the Google Doc, the slides, and everything else. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you to Michael's Cafe here in Timonium, Maryland, for having me out. Wanted to say thank you to Primary Residential Mortgage, Zach Evans, Michael Clark, and the entire crew for making it happen, hosting this great event. And I hope you'll make it out to another one if we continue to do it here in Timonium, Maryland. So please like the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when I'm dropping my daily live content. Julian, I know I saw you, brother. I'm sorry. I'm up against the clock here. I know you've been waiting, but we'll catch up in the morning, I'm sure, if not before. So off I go, down 83, down to Canton, down to the in-game studio. And week 8, Ravens and Browns just right around the corner. Baltimore's trying to make it 6 in a row. And I look forward to catching up with you guys in post-game form. Sarah and I will be inside the vault, as always, once the post-game press conferences finish up, and we'll chat this one through one way or the other. So for my entire team here at Michael's Cafe, I'm Bobby Trosset signing off from this pregame live stream at Michael's Cafe in Timonium, Maryland. Enjoy the kickoff. Enjoy Week 8, and I'll catch up with you guys tonight. Later.